Good morning. Welcome to the pre-meeting of the Newark Municipal Council on Tuesday, May 6, 2025. Council President, council members, we are on page 3 of the agenda, item 5, reports and recommendations of city officers, boards, and commissions.
Any questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
Ordinances on first reading. 6FA is an ordinance granting a 17-year tax abatement to SPG 100 Frontage Road Urban Renewal LLC for a project to construct a warehouse distribution building in the East Ward.
Questions from the council? Seeing none, next item.
B is an ordinance to amend childhood lead poisoning to create the inspection of certain residential rental dwellings for lead-based paint hazards, single-family and multiple-unit dwellings built prior to 1978 be inspected for lead-based paint.
Questions? Seeing none, next item.
Public hearing, second reading, and final passage. 6P SFA is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to Fulton Street Newark LLC for a project to construct a new multifamily housing project consisting of 369 residential units. 316 are market rate, 80 affordable rental units, of which 5 transitional housing units shall be restricted to tenants at 30% of the area median income in the Central Ward.
Questions? Next item.
B is an ordinance amending businesses and occupations to create a new chapter entitled Driving School Registration to promote improved street safety in the city of Newark's public right-of-way.
Questions? Next item.
C is an ordinance amending business occupations to create a new chapter regarding licensing of dockless vehicles used for commercial e-deliveries in order to promote improved sidewalk and street safety in the city of Newark's public right-of-way.
Questions from the council? Councilman Gonzalez.
I don't have a question about this. My concern is we have a lot of motorcycles, small motorcycles, the Vespa type motorcycles that are running in our streets with no license plates, no registration, no helmet, nothing. So I believe that we should, I suppose that's a state that regulates whether they should be registered or not. But at least we should inquire, why is it that these motorcycles do not have, let's say, license plates? So suppose that they hit someone, how are we going to determine that what the person was and the responsible individual?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Councilman. Through Madam Clerk, we can get some information regarding motorcycle and moped, I guess.
It's like the Vespa type, let's say, the ones that are not regular motorcycles, but they function as a motorcycle.
So what are the restrictions? What do we need to do to register that information on what the councilman was referring to? We can get that. Right. Councilman Quintana.
In terms of those four-wheelers, those four-wheelers should not be on our city streets.
Yes.
I mean, those are like dirt bikes that should be some kind of recreational, but not on our streets. And if you see on a Friday, if at 74 degrees, they all come out, and they're on our streets. If you go to other communities, they don't allow that. Four-wheelers, which are dirt bikes on city streets. They're very hazards to a community. It's a hazard situation.
Agreed. So why don't we do this at the next special? Why don't we bring public safety in so we can have a discussion?
Yes, because
regarding that.
the one thing is that they're pulling wheelies in front of City Hall, in front of police officers, and nothing happens.
Unfortunately, it's very disrespectful, I think. Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, I apologize for coming in late, but I can never seem to get into my parking spot. So I just want to be noted as a sponsor for B and C, and I walked into the conversation regarding the I don't know what we call these little bikes that Councilman was referring to, but I just want to clarify that our 6PF 6PSFC is really our attempt to regulate the food delivery bikes that are in the city. Councilman is correct that the other issue is a state regulatory issue.
Yeah.
There is an ordinance that I sponsored some years ago that allows the city to confiscate and destroy any of these other vehicles, like the four-wheelers. I mean, New York City has done a really good job of publicly destroying vehicles that they confiscate, and it serves as a really a very good, an effective public relations tool to deter other individuals from illegally using four-wheelers on city streets. So I would encourage through your chair and the clerk that this administration consider doing the same thing. I'm sure they've confiscated a number of these vehicles over the years, and I think we need to send a strong message to the public that if we catch you on the streets, we will confiscate, and more importantly, we will destroy these very expensive pieces of equipment.
Thank you, Councilor Ramos. So we have a sponsor for both of those. Can we get a second?
Yes,
I'll second.
Or did we have them before? We might have had seconds
we
before.
did. I just didn't
Okay,
announce
all
it
right.
because they weren't here. So B is sponsored by Councilman Ramos and second by Councilman Quintana, and C is sponsored by Councilman Ramos and second by Councilman Kellis.
And I want to acknowledge that Councilman Silva did work with me on both of these, so there's a way we can share the
So noted.
sponsorship. I would like to share with him as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Duly noted. D is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to 69 Sherman Avenue Urban Renewal Company, LLC, for a project to construct a new 5-story building with a total of 44 affordable housing rental units, which shall be restricted to tenants at 60% of area median income in the South Ward.
Questions from the council? Hearing none, next item. Next item. I'm sorry.
I believe I sponsored this at the last.
My apologies, Councilman Council. It said council as a whole at the last meeting, but I'll change it.
Would you like to sponsor it, Council?
Yes.
All right, sponsored by Councilman Council. Second,
So,
Silva.
Duly noted. E is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to 317 Mulberry Street Urban Renewal Company, LLC, for a project to construct a 24 market rate residential rental units. Council President, council members, the ward has to be amended on the floor tomorrow to reflect the central ward. In addition, a public hearing will be held at the special next week because of advertising concerns.
Oh.
That's why that's noted there.
All right, amend on the floor. All right, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Councilman, I'd like to be a sponsor of that.
I'm sorry.
They're tied in together, these two projects. 69 Sherman, it's part of a
Out of the five ones, yeah.
property project, and so I'd like to be the sponsor of that one.
Want to sponsor this one? All right.
I'll second.
Sponsored by Silva, second, Councilman Silva, second by Councilman Gonzalez.
Duly noted. Six PSFA, there's a request from the administration to defer this item. Resolutions.
Mr. President, if I may say.
Councilman
I know
Gonzalez.
that we're deferring the item, but I requested at like 3-4 meetings ago, a detail of the rentals that we're going to be paying for this, and I haven't received it. I would love also to receive a copy of the lease, so that we can review it. This is a possible 32-year lease, 15 years to begin with, and 2 extensions, one of 10 years and one of 7 years. I want to know how much money we're committing to this endeavor.
Through you, Madam Clerk, that information.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree with the Councilman because I know the BA and I kind of touched base right after the ordinance first appeared on the agenda, but I never had an opportunity to talk to Eric in detail. But I had requested also like a financial analysis of the project. You know, what are the long-term costs and to also give me information on other similar leases that we have connected with homeless services. You know, I know we have the drop-in center that's opening up on Raymond Boulevard, any other similar project that has committed the city to a long-term financial commitment.
Thank you, Councilman Ramos.
Resolutions. 7R1A through C are temporary emergency appropriations. A is to provide funds for the operating expenses until the adoption of the budget. B is for the recycling tonnage grant program. And C is to provide funds for the operating expenses until the adoption of the budget.
Any questions on A through C?
My regular question on
Budget
C,
question. When is the budget?
Actually, when are we going to see the budget for the city? We were threatened that we were going to get it in March. March passed, April passed, May passed, and we are approving now funds for June. So when is it that we're going to actually see the budget?
So, Councilman Gonzalez, the BA is out of the building, not building, out of the room. But as soon as he comes back, we're going to let you ask that question again. All right. Next item.
D and E are the use of state contracts. D is to purchase communication equipment, and E is for firefighter protective clothing.
Questions? Seeing none, next item.
F is an application acceptance of grant funds to encourage Newark businesses to participate in PSC&G's energy efficiency initiatives.
Any questions? Next item.
7R2A through F are private sales. A is to construct the construction of a 3-family home to sell at market rate in the South Ward.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman
yeah,
Kelly.
I would like to support this item, and I know it was under some great contention at the last meeting. I had an opportunity to have conversation with the individuals who are developing it. And then just to give some framework, one, about that area. One, we just built a brand new park in that area, Chamblee Park Square. There were 2 brand new 3-family homes that are adjacent to this property that's about to be built. And so, you know, when we're talking about fitting the aesthetical beauty and the need for, you know, affordable housing in the area as well as home ownership, I think that this project is a perfect project that fits this area to help bring families back to this area. One, to enjoy the new parks that we have in the area, and then it gives some stabilization around the old Promised Land Baptist Church, where the former CL Chamblee was the pastor. And so I wouldn't mind sponsoring this.
Second.
Sponsored by Councilman Council, second by Councilwoman Scott Roundtree.
Duly noted.
Next item.
B is new construction of a 3-family home to rent out at market rate in the West Ward.
Let's come back to that one. Let's come back to that one. Councilman Kelly's coming, but let's come back and finish this and come back.
C is renovation of the property as a commercial garage for removal, depository, sorting, and passive storage facility in the South Ward.
Is the developer here today? 7R2C, Rehab Home Builders, LLC? I do not believe they are here.
All right.
Council would defer that matter?
No, Mr. Chair, I would like to move this item forward. This is a property that is off of Fabian Avenue behind Shaw. It's in a desolate location, and the need for this is a greater need for the community in helping to use as a sorting station to help sort and bin used clothes and items that goes back out to the community during clothes giveaway, items in case there's individuals or families that may be in need of furniture or things during fires. And so this is a great need for our community. And I would love for, you know, the council to work with us as a whole to sponsor this, and I'll sponsor this item.
Sponsored by Councilman, second by Councilman Kelly.
President, if I may say.
Sure, Councilman.
We have a property here that is assessed as $186,000, again, selling for $30,000. So the optics of this are really bad.
Yeah.
And I know that lots in the city of Newark are selling anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000, and we are giving this land away. I understand that they become, let's say, taxable in the future, but in the meantime, we're transferring wealth in the amount of $140,000 at least.
And
Mr.
the owner
Chair.
the owner lives in Newark too. right?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I concur with Councilman Gonzalez. I don't argue with him on that front. This piece of property is desolate. Sitting right there now is an old shed. It's very dilapidated, and it is problematic. It's an eyesore in the back part of that community on Wainwright and Fabian, in which we've been trying to do a lot of work in that area. One, with the traffic studies, truck traffic, and just trying to bring some different kind of amenities to the backside of where the former Pathmark, now Super Fresh, and the whole little mini mall strip is. It is a very desolate and blank area, and we want to try to make sure that we light it up and get folks back there to do it. And you know, Councilman Gonzalez's defense to be able to argue about the assessment and sales of these items is important. But I also think that it's important that we get this kind of depository, because we have been hit with a flood of fires and a lot of things that have been happening in our areas. And to be able to provide a place where individuals can go rather quickly to receive clothes, furniture, and things that are needed, I think this is an important item.
Mr. President,
Thank you, Councilman Ramos.
yeah, it's for Councilman Council. Is the buyer like an adjacent property owner? Is it like a nonprofit that's looking to do this charitable purpose? Or is it a private owner for this lot?
Yeah, they have a non-profit organization. So they also have a nonprofit organization that deals with refurbished, decent clothing, furniture, and a whole sort of different items that they utilize. And more importantly, in that area, which part of it is like a one-way extending itself out towards Lyons Avenue, is very desolate and barren. And so again, what sits there now is probably a old kind of tent barrow that looked like it's been there since 1920.
Yeah, I've driven by there. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Definitely is in need of some kind of
President.
development. Councilman Gonzalez.
Yes, I am not, let's say, objecting specifically to this one here. I'm objecting to let's say, the assessed values of the property should reflect the actual value of the property, not, let's say, a number that is taken from maybe in 2000 or in 1990, this was valued at 186. Now, today, it might be valued at, let's say, $40,000 or assessed at $40,000, so that we don't look as bad when we're selling property that is assessed at $186,000 for $30,000. I don't object to selling this property. I'm objecting to the assessed value assigned to it.
Yeah, I think, Councilman, yeah, I agree with you. I think we have that issue and continue to have the issue with assessed values. And hopefully, in the next, we have the business administrator who wants to chime in on this subject.
Good morning, Council President, Council members.
morning.
Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. Councilman Gonzalez brings up, I think, a valid point and a valid concern. The issue is, I think, that there's a bit of a misinterpretation as to what an assessed value means relative to the price of a property and what an appraised value is. The assessed value is not an appraised value. We know that we're in the middle of a fairly lengthy reevaluation process. And at the end of that reevaluation process, the assessed value and the real value of the property should be the same, but that is not the case. These properties have not been reassessed for 13 years. And so there's an assessed valuation that has essentially been on the books for a while. That's one point I wanted to make. The second point is some of the development and our objectives to get properties developed is not just based on the price of the property. We want to make sure that the property and what it's going to do and the neighborhood it's in and the services that it will provide are sufficient for a developer to actually develop that property, and in some cases make a profit, in other cases to make sure that it is low and moderate income housing that's going to come along with it. So all of those have to be taken into consideration. As I'm sure Councilman Gonzalez knows, I'm not trying to educate you, I'm just trying to educate the public generally as to what is going on. I have no doubt that Councilman Gonzalez understands all of this. I understand his concern about something may be assessed at $100,000 and we sell it for $30,000. As you have asked for, and I believe we've done a fairly good job of, we provide you with information on each of these properties, some of which don't exist anymore. They burn down, they are falling down, they are dilapidated. So we know that the assessed value and the actual value of the property is not the same. Others, we should, if we haven't, provide you with information about the project, so you have a sense as to why we want it done. The West Ward and the South Ward are doing so much better now. We don't have to incentivize developers and purchasers the way we did in the past, but many of these projects have been in the pipeline for a long time, and there still are certain areas where we have to incentivize developers to come in and small owners to come in and owner occupants to come in. And so the EHD department does an assessment on an individualized basis and comes up with a price based on the LOIs that we received that we believe is appropriate. That is not to suggest that you shouldn't ask these questions. I encourage you to ask it every time, and we'll be prepared to provide you with the answers. But that is a general overview of why the assessed value and the price that's sold may not be the same.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Beard. Councilman Gonzalez.
Yes, I agree with what you're saying. That the objective is to bring these properties back to a productive use and all that stuff. I understand that, and I understand that we have increased the selling prices from the $4 that were before to $10 and $12 now. It's and I do appreciate that. Now that I have you there, the other question is, when are going to receive the budget? We were threatened that we will get it in March, April, May. Now we are approving June. So when is it that we're going to get it?
Mr. Beard, you wanted to come up and speak? You got caught now.
Absolutely. Councilman, I know I subjected myself to whatever questions the council wants to put forward, but I was ready for that question, quite frankly. I know. I am still working with our budget director to get that information to you. Obviously, I think we promised that we would have it to you in March, and then I indicated to you that April was our objective, and we are now in May. We still haven't done it. There have been complications, some of which have been generated by the federal government. We have had several $1 million pulled back from our budget already, and we are working through to make sure that we can give you a budget that is going to be doable and make sense. We had the most recent, they pulled back home funds of, $1 million yesterday. And then last week, we lost about $6 million. We have CDBG funds that are at risk. So we're trying our best to balance all of that with bringing you a budget as we keep the city running. I promise I will work on it as diligently and as hard as I can.
Perhaps
to
we
bring you a
should,
budget.
let's say, you should have a meeting with the budget committee so that we are, let's say, aware of what is happening, so that I don't have to ask you here publicly to say,
Sure.
let's say, if we know that is happening, there is no need for the questions.
I understand that, but to your point, I want the public to know this. I do want them to know that we are faced with a federal administration that is not as concerned about making sure we have home funds and HOPWA funds and other funds for projects, CDBG funds, which are not just for housing and others, and they should know that. But to your point, if you schedule a budget meeting, we'll be there. I would ask you to do that, and then we will accommodate that. I'd love to talk to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Councilman Gonzalez, we request the
See,
Madam Clerk if we can
Yes.
schedule a budget
Well,
meeting.
lately, the budget committee is the whole council, so it's we have to revisit who the members are, because we cannot have a meeting of the whole council.
No, we'll do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Council
Mr. President,
Who
Council.
said that? I'm sorry, I keep looking the other way. I don't know why.
Going back to the property sale, so, I looked at an email that Deputy Mayor sent this morning, and it has some real basic information, which I appreciate. It's got a picture of the property or the lot. It has a justification included as to why the city's looking to sell it to the individual or the corporation that shows up on the agenda. But it doesn't include like a summary of other letters of intent, which I've asked for a number of times that we received on these particular properties. So it just has the LOI that they accepted, but it doesn't show me whether they received 3 other LOIs or 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that information is that difficult to get, right? It should be somewhere. We should keep a record of individuals or corporations that submitted letters for these individual properties that we should be able to see. Like there shouldn't be a secretive process. So I'm just asking to make sure that we get that prior to the vote tomorrow.
Yeah, the councilman has been asking for that for a number of months. So I really think at this point, EHD should provide that information. So,
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't want to share it.
yeah.
So,
So let's
I
send
mean,
a
the
quick
deputy
note
mayor
up to
talks about
EHD.
like there's a rubric that they use. So, I remember from my days working at the Board of Ed, a rubric is a comparison, right, between different prospective buyers and a justification as to why you're selecting the buyer that's on the agenda. So there should be a list of other buyers who have recently submitted interest letters, and then that's it. Why the justification is included? I just want to see how many other people express an interest on these properties.
Yeah, so EHD needs to provide that information before the meeting tomorrow.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Ray, Council.
I'll be Councilman Ramos for the day. That's good. But in light of what Councilman Ramos has stated, I think we probably need to be specific about how we want to receive the information. I know when we talk about the bidding process, right, there were certain amounts of bids that go out. So it could be 30 bids that went out, 20 responders. Out of the 20 responders, these 2 were the most responsible bidders. I'm not sure if he wants the LOI process to look that way, to say, there were 10 people that requested an LOI on this property, right? This was the one person, that was responding in an affirmative based off of all of these different criterias, and this is why they were awarded. But there needs to be a structure in which we want to receive the information that'll help us draw down on it to move quickly. Because I know in the packages, we do receive with the photos, the comparables about other areas and how that looks and what the price is around there. But just to be succinct about how we want the LOI process to be able to look. So if there's 4 people that applied, out of the 4, they went through this process and they said, this is the best one. So at least you know that there were 4 people that put in for the LOI, and this person did it because of these variables.
I think that's a great suggestion. And in one of the meetings, I even said, look, let's go back 5 years, because I'm sure if you go back 15 years, it could have been 30 LOIs submitted for a particular property. But we can go back, 4 or 5 years and say, look, we've received 4 LOIs. These are the offers that we received, and this is the reason why we're selecting the vendor that's before you. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Next item.
Council President, do you want to go back to
Are we
item
finished with
B?
the hoop, please? Yeah, let's go back. Well, let's finish. No, let's go back. Let's go back. Might as well.
Item B on page 13 is new construction of a 3-family home to rent out at market rate in the West Ward.
Councilman,
I'm going to ask that this item be deferred.
is there a second for deferment?
Second.
Duly noted.
Deferred by Kelly, second by Councilwoman Scott Roundtree.
We are now page 15. Item D is new construction of a 3-family homes to sell at market rate in the South Ward.
Any questions from the council?
But yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask for this item to be deferred.
All right. Defer. Councilman Councils or second?
Second.
Second by Kelly. Councilman Kelly.
E is new construction of a multifamily home to sell at market rate in the West Ward.
Move this.
All right. Let's move on that item. Next item.
F is new construction of a 16-unit residential building with a mix of affordable units at 40 to 80% of AMI and market rate units in the South Ward.
Any questions on this item?
Mr. Chair, I'm fine with this item.
How was that? All right. Move forward on this one. Next item.
7R4A through C are applications to the Department of Community Affairs for the Urban Enterprise Zone funding. A is for citywide facade improvement grant project. B is for marketing and events fund project. And C is for small business revolving loan fund project.
Questions from the council? Councilman Kelly.
Yeah, just, does this include the entire ward, like all of the wards, or is it just certain wards specifically?
I see Mr. Randolph from Invest Newark here.
Good morning, Marcus Randolph, Invest Newark. Good
morning.
Council President, council members. Yes, Councilman Kelly, this program includes all 5 wards. All businesses, brick and mortar, be eligible for these funds.
Okay, thank you, Director.
Any other questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
D is approving form of sale of city secured bonds in the amount of $12 million.
Mr. Guzman. I'm sorry, any questions from the council? Or we just want?
Good morning, Benjamin Guzman, Acting Finance Director.
Good morning.
This resolution just to authorize the sale, as stated, for bond anticipation notes or bonds of $12 million. $6 million is to cover the costs incurred with the Path Home project that Health and Human Services and Homeless Services are working with in conjunction with the Housing Authority. The additional $6 million is for covering the costs for the city's revaluation of real property.
Any questions from the council on it? All right, thank you. Next item.
E is approving loan and escrow agreements for the Petty CSO project.
Questions from the council? See, hearing none, next item.
F is designating bank depositories adopting cash management plan.
Questions? Councilman Gonzalez.
Yes, we are approving let's say, the banks that we're going to deposit our monies on in May. This should have been done in January, let's say, so that we have the banks authorized at the beginning of the year, so that when we deposit the money, we are depositing the monies in banks that are authorized by us. See, if we do it in March, in actually May, we have been depositing monies in banks that are not authorized by the council.
Okay. Mr. Guzman is coming up.
Good morning, Benjamin Guzman, again, for Department of Finance. To Councilman Gonzalez's questions, you are correct. We are a little bit behind the ball on getting this resolution adopted in order for the cash management plan. By no means is that mean that our deposits in any of these financial institutions from January to now are not in necessarily an institution that has not been authorized. Whatever authorization we had given in the previous year, which we had done, and that one for 2024 was done on a more timely basis, and I do admit that, those still continue to be authorized by the City of Newark while we then adopt a new cash management plan and bank depositories. We'd like to do this again, and not only like to, but it's statutorily required for a municipality to do it once a year. We are doing it again this year just to reauthorize those that we had authorized in the past. We are also looking to add additional financial institutions that the city may do business with. One of those being local branches, for example, Provident Bank, who just recently opened up a new branch. My understanding is on Edison Place, right by the Mars building. And we want to make sure that we spread a wide net of financial institutions, and we want to make sure that we have the ability to be able to deposit funds and do business with banks that are secure, that offer community reinvestment to the City of Newark, and that will able to assist not just the city operate, but as well as those residents of the city.
And we have the BA coming up.
If I may follow up.
Oh, before? I'm sorry.
Say,
Before you.
This resolution here says January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. So anything that happens after that is not covered by this resolution. I believe that the resolution should say that until the next one is approved.
Okay, yeah, yes, we could modify that. Again, the goal is to have it done and on a more timely basis, and I'll make note of that to make sure that it doesn't, fall through the cracks, and we'll have it ideally adopted sometime in December of this year in order to cover 2026.
Mr. BA.
Yes, Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. The one thing I wanted to add to what Ben said, and I think he gave a great explanation of the banks that we use and the depository institutions. Just want to add that some of a large chunk of our money is in large banks such as TD Bank and PNC, and they don't give us necessarily the service that we think we deserve. So just because they're big and just because they are national, that doesn't qualify them to be the depositories that we should use. We need to look at smaller banks. For example, we have, I think Provident Bank, Ben just mentioned, Columbia Bank, which is right across the street, other financial institutions that are more agreeable and amenable to working with us to either keep our costs low or eliminate those costs, to take a call when we have an issue that comes through. We had some issues with TD Bank, which I believe were resolved, that had to deal with just personal interactions. And we're not going to have a situation where we're depositing millions and millions of dollars into the bank and they are mistreating our employees or not giving them the access to the business line that we should have, or calling us back when there's an issue with respect to depositing some funds. So we do, to Ben's point, want to cast a more wide net to make sure that we have depository institutions that appreciate our service. It's very difficult to go somebody to beg them to take your money and they don't give you the adequate level of service that you deserve. So we're working toward that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Next item.
7R5A through C are contracts with subrecipients to provide HIV/AIDS-related health and support services. A is Rutgers Clinical Quality Management Program. B is Isaiah House. And C is Broadway House for Continuing Care.
Any questions, council? Hearing none. Next item.
7R6A through E are professional services contracts for the law department. A and B are both litigation matters. C and D are both workers' compensation matters. And E is labor and employment matters.
Questions from the council? Hearing none. Next item.
7R8A is a reappointment as an alternate number 4 of the Board of Adjustments. Rosa Torres Zawalski, sponsored by Councilmember Quintana.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Was Ramos? Council Ramos? Was that you? Okay, Ramos.
B is a ceremonial street designation for Zelma Mitchell Collins, sponsored by Council President Crump.
I'll second.
Second, Councilman Council. That's not my wife, by the way, y'all. Same first name happens to be, but no.
C is waiving special event application permit and street closure fees for the Clinton Hill Community Action Farmers Market, sponsored by Councilman Council.
I'll second that one. Next item.
D is waiving special event application permit fees for the 4th Annual Halsey Street Festival, sponsored by Council President Crump.
Second.
Councilman Gonzalez, seconds.
E is recognizing and commending resolutions. And F is expressing profound sorrow and regret. 7R9A and B are appointments of special police officers.
Questions from the council? Somebody started. Hearing none. Next item.
C is a professional service contract for deployment assistance from the FCC and RPC for the police department.
Questions? Hearing none. Next item.
D and E are application acceptance of grant funds for the hiring of 15 police officers under the 2023 COPS hiring program.
Any questions from the council?
Yes, Council President. I just
Councilman
wanna go
Kelly.
back.
Any questions on this item? All right, Councilman Gonzalez.
Yes, this programs, the grant usually is for 5 years. And the question has always been, in my case, do we have the budget to continue employing these police officers once the grant is over?
Eric Pennington, Business Administrator, Council President, to Councilman Gonzalez. Not necessarily to your question about do we have the funds available now after this grant is over to continue hiring these cops? We don't know. We fully expect that the complement of police officers we bring on are necessary for the safe deployment here in the city, to make the city run well, to continue the good work that we've done in reducing violent crime, to make sure that the residents are safe, to deploy their now quality of life. There's a quality of life group that's going to come out of the most recent class that's coming out now. We want to continue all of that. And I cannot stand here today and say that we have the funds now that'll be available at the end of the grant term to employ those officers, but it is our clear expectation that we'll find the money.
Well, yes, they say you hopefully have attrition that would compensate for those individuals. They say my question wasn't, do we have the money now? We'll have the money 5 years from now to hire, to continue paying these individuals. And I believe that we do. I just ask, let's say, the question so that we can clarify that we are, let's say, complying with the COPS program, because at one point in time, this program was eliminated in the city of Newark.
Right. No, we are absolutely complying. Great question. And again, it's our expectation, not only that we'll maintain a balance, we want to increase the number of officers on the street. So what we lose in attrition, we want to make sure that we not only replace them, but hire more. That is the plan. I think we're working on putting in a class of 100 right now. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Bia. Next item. I'm sorry, Councilman Kelly. I'm sorry, Councilman.
Thank you, Council President. I want to go back to 7R8E, recognizing and commending under sponsored by Councilwoman Roundtree. There's something that was sponsored by me, number 27, John and Mildred Cross. Street naming designation. Can we make an amendment to show that under recognizing and commending, sponsored by me, number 27, for the street naming of John and Mildred Cross. Can we amend on the floor?
So,
Duly noted.
all right, next, go back to the next item.
My apologies. 7R10A is application acceptance of grant funds for the 2022 recycling tonnage grant.
Questions? There, none, next item.
7R12A is a change order for the solids floatables control measures netting facilities.
Always good to see a reduction. Next item.
B is a bid contract to provide for the replacement of fire hydrants.
Any questions from the council? Next item.
8A through D are reappointments to the Rent Control Board. A is for Mr. Powell, B, Mr. Bamoa, C, Ms. Hernandez, and D, Ms. Mosley.
Questions from the council? Next item.
E is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to Robert Treat Hotel Urban Renewal, Inc. to undergo major renovations to all systems within the 108-year-old hotel.
Questions from the
Central Ward.
council? Hearing none. Next item.
Item 10, miscellaneous raffle license.
Question. Next item. Oh, that's it.
Council President, council members, we have one proposed added starter for the SOA contract.
Questions from the council? All right. We'll get
Public
those
comment?
letters in and be good to go.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, can I get the register number just for that?
Add a started number,
I'd like to be a sponsor of that, Councilman.
the number.
Councilman Silva wants to sponsor, second by Councilman Quintana.
Register file 250583.
0583, all right, thank you.
Public comment?
Yep.
We are now in the 30-minute public comment portion of this meeting, where each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name for the record. Is there anyone wishing to address the council?
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Natasha Akinyele. I was on the list to be considered to build 2 new 2-families on South 10th Street. Unfortunately, it was written incorrect. But I wanted to say something about the idea of home ownership in Newark. I'm not a large corporation. I'm a young woman who grew up on Section 8. In my proposal, I talked about growing up on Section 8. In my proposal, I talked about changing the blight in my community. I talked about the fact that I'm raising sons in the city of Newark. And so when I get informed of the cost to buy the lot, from 15 to 50,000. I need everyone to be clear. I'm not a large corporation. I'm a community member who wants to change our community, like the mayor talked about. So when he made that call, I did that. I cleaned the lots that I talk about. I rebuild the community that I'm trying to build up in. So I just wanted to address that. And so when you talk about the idea of assessed value, in different communities, they have lower assessment values. That property that I'm talking about, there's nothing there but garbage, debris, concrete, people throwing mattresses. That wasn't the original lot that I had applied for. So I want to make that clear. So imagine, to my chagrin, yesterday to find out that I need to come up with 50,000. That's only to purchase. Like the BA said, you have to deal with what comes next. After you purchase, you have to find the funds to build that. This is an extraordinary dream. And it's not just a dream that I want to make money, because you don't make money. It's very hard to get through the 18 months and to successfully build. So I just wanted to speak about that. So we'll defer it, but everyone with an LLC is not a big business. I'm a small woman trying to do big things in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next speaker.
Queen Mother Imaku, Central Ward.
Good morning.
Good morning. This one. This is my nebulizer, which I've had to use increasingly because no abatements have been made in my apartment, even though the city has taken my landlord to court again. It's really not pleasant to have multiple asthma attacks a day. It's not pleasant to come home to an apartment that smells like mold. It's a lovely looking apartment, but no abatements have been made. None. It's May. This issue was opened up in October of 2023. I was told that the city was going to make my landlord address the abatements. And the The city said that the building is still unregistered since 2015. At this point, my landlord is non-compliant, and the city is complicit as well. This is my health at stake. According to law, when the landlord is aware that there is a health issue, this is defined as harassment. What is the city going to do? Y'all need to relocate me. Y'all need to relocate me. I've said this before. You need to relocate me. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. If we could have Queen Mother, if you could step to the back, and there'll be somebody there to speak with you.
I was told
think
that
there-
before. I went to
So-
her office. She did nothing.
So do me a favor, have a seat, and I'll come back and talk to you after the meeting. Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, Council President,
Good morning.
honorable council members. On April 25th, 2025.
I hate to say it, we know who you are, but state your name for the record.
Tillman
Thank you.
Jr. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
This issue just got me so excited. On April 25th, 2025, Rutgers Law School Center of Law, Inequality, Metropolitan Equity came out with a report. Says gentrification in 3 New Jersey cities lack job creations. And one of those cities, Newark, like Patterson and Jersey City, it said that Jersey City is fully gentrified, but Newark is in transition. And it also goes on to state, and I quote, Newark is experiencing job gentrification where investments in expensive market rate, new housing, and investor-led renovations raise prices without corresponding job growth seen in traditional gentrification. So I bring this issue to us because this report was done over the last 10 years. And as you know, this administration has been here for the last 10 years. And it says that our community is in transition of being gentrified through job creation. And so I bring this to the forefront because it should be alarming that we don't lack job creation. We have an enormous amount of tax abatements that we'll continue to give out that creates an enormous amount of jobs. However, when we look at what the government is doing, and we look at the components of the government that is inactive, is not functioning properly to be a part of these tax abatements, this is affecting our communities tremendously. As we see this gentrification going on in our community, and it's directly saying that it's associated to these jobs. So I'm going to ask you again that we bring this administration before this municipal council to talk about the Affirmative Action Review Council that is responsible for the monitoring and compliance of our Newark resident employment policy that has to do with our job creation. So if we have this problem in our city that is being spearheaded by this administration, this gentrification, we need to do something right now as a body, as a collective body, our community, elected officials, and everyone that's involved in this process. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak? Hearing none, public speaking is closed. We don't have anything of executive session, so we're finished.
Can we stay here?
So unusual, huh?
Can we stay here?
You can hang out as long as you want, Councilman. Are you in your parking spot now?
I'm gonna stay here.
All right, thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow, I guess.
Stay here.
Good night and God bless.
Kind of anticlimactic at the end, huh?